Before we have our prayer session, let's bow our heads and pray first.
我们还没有祷告之前，我们先低头默祷。
Amen. In the name of Lord Jesus Christ, we begin today's prayer session.
奉主耶稣基督圣名，我们开始我们的祷告会。
Let's rise and sing hymn 442.
我们全体站立，唱诗442首。
Sing hymn 442.
唱诗442。
Please be seated.
大家请坐。
We thank God that God has brought us here together to his church.
我们感谢神，神带领我们来到他的教会，
That we can experience the warmth of his church and to leave out our worries in the cold outside.
那我们可以来到教会呢，来这里来享受教会给我们的这个温暖，而且不用再享受外面的那种冷的天气。
So before we kneel down to pray, we're just going to share and to learn from a small passage.
我们还没有祷告之前，我们先从圣经里学习一段经文。
And so the topic for today's prayer session is Let It Be Known to You.
那今天我们祷告会的题目是你当知道。
And so in our lives we will inevitably meet with tests and difficulties.
在我们的生命当中，难免会碰到很多这种挑战。
But for a group of people, they said, Let it be known to you.
但是有一群人他说你当知道。
So let's turn to the book of Daniel, chapter 3.
我们先看但以理书第3章，
Now, Daniel, chapter 3.
但以理书第3章。
So this chapter is talking about when Daniel's three friends met with the fiery furnace.
那这里提到是但以理他的3个朋友被扔进这个用火烤的这个火炉里。
And this was also because of King Nebuchadnezzar, who had made this golden idol.
这里有提到尼布甲尼撒王呢，他造了一个金像。
And if we look at chapter 3, verse 18,
如果看第3章的第18节，
verse 18.
第18节。
But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the gold image which you have set up.
即或不然，王啊，你当知道我们绝不侍奉你的神，也不敬拜你所立的金像。
And so this was a very bold thing that the three friends said to the king.
可是他的3个朋友做一个很大胆的向王说这番很大胆的一句话。
And it was the last statement that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said to him.
第16节这里说，沙德拉、米萨、亚伯尼哥对王说的这句话。
And so this was the last thing that they had said to him.
这是他们说的最后一句话。
And after this, they were to be thrown into the fiery furnace.
他们做了这句话之后呢，他们就被扔到这个烈火的窑中。
And if we look into verse 18, we see that they did not know what was going to happen.
那你看18节的话，当时他们真的不知道会发生什么事情。
And they understood that keeping their faith in God was the most important.
他们所知道的，他们对神的信心是最重要的，
More important than what would happen to them and their lives.
比他们生命中将要发生的事情来得更加重要。
And for them, it didn't matter whether they were able to survive or not,
对他们来说，能不能生存，这其实不重要的，
but that they held on to God.
最重要的是他们能掌握住神。
And this is the kind of faith that we should aspire to have.
同样的，这就是我们应当有的这个信心。
For us to understand that God is truly good and that everything He does is for our good.
那要明白神，他真的是对我们是良善的，他为我们所做的事情都是好的。
And although we may not understand in the moment of time, when we look back to our previous situations, we understand
或
why.
许当时的情况当中，你或许不明白，但是事情过了之后呢，你会想到神为什么会这样做。
And that even though we go through good times and also go through bad times, everything is in His hands.
那虽然有时候我们会经历很好的事情，有时候经历这些患难，但是一切都在神的掌握之中。
And so likewise, as believers today, we can also have this kind of faith.
那同样的，我们身为信徒，我们应当有这样的信心，
To understand that regardless of what happens, that keeping our faith is all that matters.
要明白，无论我们处在什么环境，发生什么事情，我们的信心是最重要的。
And so we're going to spend some time to learn from a few aspects of the faith.
那我们今天先花一些时间来探讨这个信心方面的事情。
So we're going to look into 3 points leading up to this event.
那我们先会看3点来明白这方面的事。
And from this, to learn how to apply it into our lives so that we can likewise have this faith.
从这里我们可以学习怎么可以把它用在我们的生活当中，怎么才可以得到这个信心。
The first is that they were able to hold on to their identity.
那首先他们能持守他们的自己的身份，
And their identity was that they were belonging to God.
他们的身份是他们是属神的。
Let's first turn to Romans chapter 12.
我们看罗马书的12章，
Romans chapter 12,
罗马书的12章
verse 2.
第2节，
Verse 2.
第2节。
And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
不要效法这个世界，只要心意更新而变化，叫你们察验何为神的善良、纯全、可喜悦的旨意。
So for us to hold on to our identity as the children of God, we are to not be influenced by the world.
那我们要持守我们身为神的儿女这个身份，那就是不要受外界影响。
And if we look back in the book of Daniel,
如果再看回这个但以理书，
we find that in the first chapter that the people were taken captive.
那从第1章可以看得到，当时他们被掳去了。
And these Jews were taken captive from chapter 1.
那这些犹太人，他从第1章就被掳去。
So let's look at Daniel chapter 1, verse 3.
我们看但以理书的第1章第3节，
Verse 3 and verse 4.
第3节到第4节。
Then the king instructed Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, to bring some of the children of Israel, and some of the king's descendants, and some of the nobles. Verse 4.
第4节，
Young men in whom there was no blemish, but good-looking, gifted in all wisdom, possessing knowledge, and quick to understand, who had ability to serve in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the language and the literature of the Chaldeans.
第3节，王吩咐太监长雅斯提纳，从以色列人的宗室和贵胄中带进几个人来，就是年上没有残疾，相貌俊美，通达各样学问，知识聪明具备，就能侍立在王宫里的，要叫他们加勒底的文字言语。
And so we see that some of the children of Israel were chosen to serve the king.
所以看得到他们从以色列的百姓当中选了一些少年人来侍奉他们的王。
And they were to be taught the language and the literature of the Chaldeans.
那他们要教导这些以色列百姓呢，加勒底的文字和言语。
And today we may be taught many things, whether or not we're still students.
那我们今天身为学生的，很多时候我们学习了很多学校里的不同的知识。
And even if we're not students, we also learn many things.
即使我们不是学生，我们也学习很多。
The things we hear, the things we see, and the things we experience.
那我们所看见的，我们所听见的，我们所体验的。
And these are ways that we learn, and these can be knowledge or ideas.
那这是我们学习的事情，有些事情是一些想法，或者是一些知识，
or even attitudes toward things.
或者是对事情的态度。
Let's turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 10.
我们看哥林多前书第10章。
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10.
哥林多前书的第10章。
1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 23.
第23节。
Verse 23. All things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful for me, but not all things edify.
凡事都可行，但不都有益处；凡事都可行，但不都造就人。
And so here Paul encourages us.
这里保罗勉励我们。
He tells us that all things may be lawful for us.
他说，凡事对我们来说都可行的，
but not everything is helpful for us.
但是不都有益处。
And so this teaches us that we have the freedom to do things.
这里教导我们说，我们有做事情的自由。
So the question is whether they are helpful for our faith or do they edify our faith.
问题是我们所做的事情对我们的信仰有没有益处，可不可以造就？
And by doing these things, are we strengthened in our faith?
那我们这样做的话，可不可以兼顾我们的信心呢？
Do we draw nearer to God?
我们可不可以更加亲近神呢？
And so these are very simple questions we can ask ourselves so that we can gauge whether we should do these things or not.
这些都是我们可以自己问自己的这些问题，然后来做决定，说我们该不该这样去做。
So if we turn back to the book of Daniel.
我们再看回但以理书。
So in the olden times, the Jews would often name their children with names that are very edifying.
那在古时候呢，以色列人呢，他们都用一些比较有造就的这种意思的那种名字来为他们的孩子取名字。
And these meaningful names would remind them of God and also help them to remember the grace of God.
他们用自己有意义的名字来让他们纪念，就是神的伟大来提醒他们。
But again, in chapter 1 of Daniel, we see that the king actually changed these names.
但是从第1章可以看得到，那个王呢却改变他们的名字。
Because they were captives, their edifying names were then changed to names that were related to foreign gods or idol worship.
因为他们是被掳的人，所以王呢要给他们起了一些拜偶像的名字。
And so this was one of the ways that the Babylonians used to kind of brainwash them.
这是巴比伦王他们为人洗脑的其中一个方法。
And despite this, Daniel and his 3 friends were able to be unaffected by the tides of this world.
虽然是这样，但是但以理和他3个朋友却没有因为这个世界的这个趋势呢，这个问题呢而受影响。
And we know that names are very important.
我们知道名字是非常的重要。
Because that's the way that people address you.
那也是人们可以用你名字来称呼你。
And if your name is something that always reminds you of God, then that's something that's very good.
那如果你的名字可以让人常常想到提起到神，那这是一件很好的事情。
But here we see that their names were changed to something that was very foreign and very related to idol worship.
那在这里可以看到，他和他3个朋友却被取了一些拜偶像、这些偶像关于偶像的这些名字。
Let's turn to the book of Psalms.
我们看诗篇。
Psalm chapter 1.
诗篇的第1章。
Psalm 1 verse 3.
诗篇的第1章第3节。
Verse 3. He shall be planted like a tree, planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper.
他要像一棵树栽在溪水旁，按时候结果子，叶子也不枯干，凡他所做的尽都顺利。
So here it describes this man who is righteous.
这里在形容一个公义的人，
And this is someone who does not walk with the way of sinners,
他不行走在这些罪人的道路上，
but rather he is someone who delights in the law of God and who always meditates on the law of God.
这一个人呢，他是喜爱神的律法，而且昼夜思想神的这些律法。
And because this person does this, they are like this tree that's planted by the river.
因为他这样做，他就好像一棵树栽在这个溪水旁。
And even though the winds may blow and the storms may come, the tree is not uprooted.
虽然有时候会打风、会下雨，但是对他却没有受影响。
But instead, it actually continues to prosper and continues to grow.
反而他可以继续的，就是旺盛，而且继续的成长。
And we can see this in the lives of Daniel and his 3 friends.
所以我们可以看得到，但以理和3个朋友也就是这样。
Even though they were taken captive and they were living in this foreign land.
虽然他们被掳去，住在这个陌生人的地方，
Even though there were so many winds and storms blowing against them to try and change who they were.
虽然他们身边就是刮大风，就是下大雨，但是他们依然的就是屹立不倒。
They were able to continue to prosper and to grow in their faith.
他们依然的可以在就是信仰当，他们的信仰呢依然可以持续的在成长。
And actually, this is like us today.
同样的，就我们也一样。
We know that we are pilgrims and sojourners in this world.
我们知道我们在这世界只是一个过路者。
And likewise, just like Daniel and his 3 friends, we should also have this kind of faith.
同样的，我们就应当像但以理和他3个朋友，也应当有这样的信心。
To have this daily cultivation through prayer and Bible reading to remind us of who we are.
要通过每天查经、每天祷告，来做灵修，来提醒自己我们究竟自己的身份是什么。
And in this way, we constantly refresh our spiritual lives and renew our minds.
唯有这样做，我们才可以不停的更新我们自己的自己心思意念。
And by constantly doing this, we can have a clear sight of the true goal that we have in this life.
我们唯有这样做呢，我们才可以提醒自己我们人生的真正目标是什么。
And now the second aspect is unity and companionship.
那第2点呢，就是要同心合一，还有这个一个陪伴。
And let's turn to the book of Ecclesiastes.
我们看传道书
Ecclesiastes chapter 4.
第4章，传道书第4章，
Ecclesiastes chapter 4 verse 12.
第4章的12节。
Verse 12. Though one may be overpowered by another, 2 can withstand him, and a 3-fold cord is not quickly broken.
有人公正，孤身一人；若有2人，便能抵挡他。3股合成的绳子不容易折断。
So this is a short passage that we often quote, and it talks about 2 are better than 1.
那这我们常常有提到这一个经节的说，2个人比1个人来得更好。
And so when we read the book of Daniel, we find that it's not just about Daniel himself.
然后我们在看那个但以理书的时候，这本书不只是说但以理而已，
But it also mentions about his 3 friends.
而且也提到他3个朋友。
And we see that he also had companions, and it demonstrates the importance for us today.
可以看到但以理他有他的朋友，也可以提醒我们这朋友的重要性。
And we find in the book of Daniel that they were able to be united in their cultivation.
可以看得到但以理和他3个朋友呢，他们可以就是在灵修方面呢，他们是同心合一的。
So for example, when Nebuchadnezzar had his dream,
那举个例子，当尼布甲尼撒王他做了一个梦，
Daniel and his 3 friends prayed together in order for this dream to be revealed.
那但以理的3个朋友就为这个王就是来讲解。
And they would have continually encouraged and also interceded for one another apart from these recordings.
那他们还不停的就是为彼此的祷告，以及为他们所面对的事情而祷告。
And especially in this situation where they were living in a foreign land, this was very valuable.
尤其是他们处在这个陌生人的外地人的国家当中呢，对他们来说呢，同心合一是非常的重要。
Because by having spiritual companions, we walk together in the same direction and with one heart.
因为有这个属灵的伴侣，他们才可以同心合意走在这个属灵的道路上。
And just like Daniel and his 3 friends, even the most difficult situations were resolved.
那就包括他们，就好像这个但以理和3个朋友，虽然他们面对很大的问题，他们是依然的得到神的帮助，能把他问题解决。
As we turn back to Daniel chapter 3.
我们再看回但以理书的第3章。
So in the book of Daniel, we find that the names of Daniel's 3 friends are always mentioned together.
那从这一本书可以看得到，但以理还有他3个朋友被常常提到。
So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are actually mentioned 14 times in the book of Daniel.
那沙德拉、米萨还有亚伯尼哥呢，在这一本书呢被提到14次。
And whenever they're mentioned, they're always mentioned together.
那当他们提到一个人的时候，总会提到其他的朋友。
They're always mentioned together.
当提到他们都是在一起的。
So let's look at chapter 3, verse 12.
我们看第3章的12节。
Verse 12. There are certain Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And let's also look at verse 19 and 20.
19节和20节。
Verse 19. Then Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury, and the expression on his face changed toward Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He spoke and commanded that they heat the furnace 7 times more than it is usually heated. And he commanded certain men of valor who were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and cast them into the burning fiery furnace.
这19节，当时尼布甲尼撒怒气填胸，向沙德拉、米萨、亚伯尼哥变了脸色，吩咐人把窑烧热，比寻常更加7倍，又吩咐他军中的几个壮士将沙德拉、米萨、亚伯尼哥捆起来，扔在烈火的窑中。
So we see that their names are always mentioned together.
你可以看得到，他们的3个名字总是一起被提到。
And apart from their unity in cultivation, they were also united in heart to go through testing time.
除了他们这个领袖方面是同心合意的，他们被就是试验、被考验的时候，他们也是同心合意在一起的。
So just from these 3 examples here, we see that one, they were accused together.
那从这里3个例子提到说，他们3个人都被被控告。
And verse 12, they were accused by some of the Chaldeans.
第12节说，他们是被加勒底人控告。
And in verse 19, they faced the wrath of the king.
那第19节说，他们是要面对尼布甲尼撒王的这个怒气。
And verse 20, they were to be thrown together into the furnace.
20节呢是说他们被捆绑起来扔在这烈火的窑中。
So in all things, they did together with one heart and in the same faith.
所以无论他们是面对什么问题，他们都是同心合意，是一起面对的。
They knew that the most important thing was to hold and to keep the faith.
他们知道最重要的是他们怎么能持守住他们的信心。
And in unity, they were able to endure together throughout the whole process.
也因为有同心合意的心，所以他们在这个过程当中呢，还可以互相的就是帮助，可以持守到底。
And for us today, we are very blessed.
同样的，我们都被神大大的祝福。
And to be able to come to church, we have many brothers and sisters around us.
我们能来到教会，我们身边有很多弟兄姐妹。
And we have to strive to hold each other very tightly.
我们必须要很用心、很努力的，就是把彼此的手呢，把它好好的抓紧。
Just like these 3 friends were able to be like this 3-fold cord.
就好像这3个善意的3个朋友一样，他们所面对的时候都是在一起。
And so we should also not look lightly upon our companionship.
而且不应当把这个朋友呢，这个伙伴呢，就是轻看这件事。
And this is one of the reasons why God has brought us together into His household.
也就是因为这个原因，神把我们都一起的带到这个教会。
And it's also another benefit that we have when we come to observe His Holy Sabbath.
当我们来到教会来敬拜他的圣安息日的时候，是有很多的益处。
So this is a good reminder for us why we should also always strive to come to church.
这也是提醒我们为什么我们要付出努力来到神的教会。
And the third point is their unwavering determination.
第3点是不可动摇的这个决心。
And so we see that the 3 friends had the boldness to stand firm in their faith.
可以看得到他的3个朋友有这个勇气呢，就是面对问题，持守住他们的信心。
And let's look at chapter 3, verse 2 and 3.
我们看第3章的第2、第3节。
Daniel chapter 3, verse 2 and 3.
但以书的3章第2、第3节。
Verse 2. And King Nebuchadnezzar sent word to gather together the satraps, the administrators, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the judges, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So the satraps, the administrators, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the judges, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces gathered together for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So we see here that everyone was gathered together.
这里可以看到他们每个人都聚在一起。
And this would be a situation that was very testing for the 3 friends.
那在这个时候呢，真的是对他们3个朋友的信心是一个很大的考验。
In this situation, the three friends would have been under very great pressure.
那在这种情况当中呢，他们面对的压力是非常大的，
Because all the important officials had come together in this one place.
因为所有重要的这些官员呢都被招起来，都聚在这里，
And everyone would bow down to this golden image.
那每个人都要向这个金像来下拜。
And for the three friends, they may have thought of ideas to try and escape.
那这三个朋友或许他们心里有想到，就是怎么逃脱的这些想法。
They could have thought of ideas of how to hide or even to compromise.
他们或许想到说怎么躲藏起来，或者怎么这些妥协的方案，
Or to find an excuse.
或者找一些借口。
But we find that even though they were in such a difficult situation, they stood.
但是可以看得到，虽然他们是面对这么大的挑战，他们依然的站立得稳。
Even though there was a great tide of all the people bowing down to the image, they stood firm.
因为虽然当时是全部的官员都向这个金像来下拜，但是他们依然的站立得稳。
And this truly would have been a sight for the three friends when everyone bowed down, but they stood.
所以对他们来说，这是一个很大件的事情，因为每个人都下拜，唯有他们不下拜。
And perhaps a shock for everyone else who bowed down whilst these three men were still standing.
那对那些下拜的人来说是一个很大的惊讶，因为他们看到这三个人就是不下拜，
And this truly was a manifestation of their strong faith in God.
这就是显明了他们对神的这个信心的非常的坚固。
Let's look at verse 6.
我们看第6节，
Verse 6, and whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast immediately into the midst of a burning fiery furnace.
凡不俯伏敬拜的，必立时扔在烈火的窑中。
So we see that the command was that anyone who did not bow down would immediately be thrown into the fiery furnace.
当时那个王下的颁布了这个命令说，凡不俯伏敬拜他的金像的，必立时扔在烈火的窑中。
Let's look at verse 14 and 15.
我们看第14、15节。
In this situation, we see that three friends did not yield.
看到这沙德拉，他三个朋友沙德拉、米沙还有亚伯尼哥，他们却不听从。
Verse 14, Nebuchadnezzar spoke, saying to them, Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the gold image which I have set up? 15. Now if you are ready at the time you hear the sound of the horn, flute, harp, lyre, and psaltery, in symphony with all kinds of music, and you fall down and worship the image which I have made, good. But if you do not worship, you shall be cast immediately into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you from my hand?
14节，尼布甲尼撒问他们说：萨德拉、米沙、尼巴、亚伯尼哥，你们不侍奉我的神，也不敬拜我所立的金像，是故意的吗？你们再听见角、笛、琵琶、琴、瑟、笙和各样乐器的声音，若俯伏敬拜我所造的像，却还可以；若不敬拜，必立时扔在这个烈火的窑中。有何神能救你们脱离我手呢？
So just now we read in verse 6 that immediately anyone who disobeyed would be thrown into the fiery furnace.
就像第6节所提到的说，凡是不俯伏敬拜的，必立时扔在这个烈火的窑中。
So after the three friends had withstood and disobeyed this command,
但是他三个朋友依然的就是不听从这个王的这个吩咐。
they were brought to the king, and perhaps it would have seemed to man that it was a ray of hope.
那他们被带到这个尼布甲尼撒的王的面前呢，对人来说，或许是他们有一丝的这个希望，
Because they were not thrown into the fiery furnace immediately.
因为他们没有被立刻的扔在这个烈火的窑中。
And it seemed as though it was that the king had almost dismissed the initial disobedience.
也就是说，看起来这个王呢，好像是没有在乎他们的就是叛逆。
And the king had given them another opportunity or a chance to escape.
那王呢，再给他们另外一次机会，让他们能逃脱这个问题。
And they could have just bowed down and escaped from the fiery furnace.
其实当时他们可以立刻下拜，然后就可以脱离这个被扔在烈火窑中的这个困境。
And this truly was a great temptation for them.
那对他们来说，这是很大的一个诱惑。
So for example, we may have done something very good, but it was a difficult situation.
那或许我们做一些很好的事情，但是却处在一个非常难的环境当中。
But then there is a way for us to kind of retract what we wanted to do.
那我们就是背后有一条路，那我们可以就是回转，然后可以解决这个问题。
And perhaps we've experienced it and we've gone through that path and we find that we regret it later on.
或许是我们经历了这些问题之后呢，我们之后就后悔自己的决定。
We find that in this situation, the three friends were faced with an even greater temptation.
那可以看到，在这里他3个朋友呢所面对的这个诱惑是非常的大，
And instead, they were able to respond in a way that demonstrated their faith.
但是他们却没有因为就是这样而就是妥协，反而这里却证实了他们的信心是多好。
And actually, their response was even more bold, and they did not waver even a little bit.
我也看这里他们的回复呢是更加的有勇气，他们根本就是信心根本没有被动摇。
Let's look at verse 16 to verse 18.
我们看16节到第18节。
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If that is the case, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the gold image which you have set up.
16节，沙德拉、米萨、亚伯尼哥对王说：“尼布甲尼撒王啊，这件事情我们不必回答你。即便如此，我们所侍奉的神必能将我们从烈火的窑中救出来。王啊，他也必救我们脱离你的手。救或不然，王啊，你当知道我们绝不侍奉你的神，也不敬拜你所立的金像。”
So once again, we see that they respond in unity.
可以看得到他们是同心合一，有这样的一个回复。
And together they allowed their faith to shine for God.
他们一起的，他们就是为神，让他们的信心可以发光。
And their faith in God was so deep that they really knew what they were doing.
他们对神的信心是非常的坚固，所以他们知道他们所要做的事情是什么。
And they knew which decision was the right decision.
他们知道正确的决定是什么。
And they shared the same sight and vision of the promises of God.
他们对神的这个应许呢是就是的看法意见是一致的。
Let's turn to book of Philippians.
我们看腓立比书，
Philippians chapter 1.
腓立比书的第1章
Philippians chapter 1 verse 21.
21节，
Verse 21.
21节，
For to me to live is Christ, and to die is gain.
因我活着就是基督，我死了就有益处。
And so Paul here was very clear about his life.
然后保罗在这里，他对他的生命是非常的清晰的。
Paul knew very well that his faith was not about keeping the life that he had, but gaining the eternal life that God had promised.
那保罗知道自己的信心是什么，他活着不是为了他属世的这个生命，他活着是为了他的属灵的生命。
And likewise, this is what we should be able to do.
同样的，我们也应当可以如此这样做。
When we have learned how to cultivate ourselves and also to be united,
当我们已经学习到如何做灵修，怎么可以同心合意的，
then we can also be just as bold as Daniel's three friends.
我们也可以效仿这个但以理和他3个朋友，像他们这样这么有勇气。
And let's turn to one final verse,
我们再看这一段经节，
Psalm 18.
诗篇的第18篇，
Psalm 18 verse 30.
18篇的13节， 30节，
Psalm 18 verse 30.
诗篇18篇30节。
As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is proven. He is a shield to all who trust in him.
至于神，他的道是完全的，耶和华的话是炼净的。
And just like the three friends, they were able to experience how God was a shield for them.
就好像这3个朋友一样，他们能体验到神怎么为他们作为他们的盾牌。
And so today, from this short passage of the golden image and also the fiery furnace,
今天从这一段简短的这经节提到这个金像，还有这个烈火的窑，
we've learned from the three friends three aspects.
我们从他的3个朋友在三大方面学习了不同的这个教训。
So first, to hold on to our identity as children of God.
那首先我们必须要持守我们身为神儿女的身份。
And secondly, to have this unity and companionship.
第二呢，必须要同心合一，必须要有这个好的伙伴。
And thirdly, to have this unwavering determination in our faith.
第三呢，在我们信心当中有这个不能动摇的这个决心。
Now we're going to spend the rest of the time to pray.
我们把其余的时间来做祷告。
And in our prayer, let's not forget to pray for next week's end of year services.
说祷告当中呢，不要忘记帮这个下个礼拜就是要做年末的聚会祷告。
And to continue to pray for the preaching work of the church.
也要继续为我们教会传福音的工作代祷。
And let's also pray for those who are ill.
也要为那些生病的人来祷告。
Let's also mention Sister Anna Chan.
也提到就是安娜陈姐妹，
And also Sister Bonnie's husband Gary.
还有尤里姐妹的先生 Gary。
And let's also pray that the church, as As a church, we can be discerning.
那也别为教会祷告，让我们每个人都懂得分辨。
And for those who wish to receive the laying on of hands, please come forward and the ministers will pray for you.
那就想接受安守的同仁，请到前来祷告，我们的长辈为你安守。
Let's all kneel down and pray in one accord.
我们大家同心合一跪下祷告。
In the holy name of our Lord Jesus Christ.